So on Sunday, we had a game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Chargers out in LA, and the Cowboys won that game on a game winning field goal 22-17.
Yeah, so this game is I took the Cowboys in this game. So I mean, I'll take the Cowboys win, but I have to admit that the Cowboys won this game through a series of foolery. They had no business winning this game. This should have been a loss in the column for them and for me this week. Um, but regardless, they come out, they win 20-17. Dak Prescott does not look as good as he did in the opener. I mean, he doesn't play terrible. He just doesn't really find the end zone. 22 for 37, 237 yards, throws an interception. But bright side for Dallas is the running game. Zeke wakes up, 71 yards and a touchdown, 16 carries. One of those was a 19-yard rush. But Tony Pollard comes out with 109 yards and a touchdown as well on 13 carries. And he throws in a 28-yard rush in that as well. CeeDee Lamb leads all the Dallas receivers with 81 yards, but no receiving touchdowns. And Dak fumbles, but Zach Martin saves him. And Demonte Kazee and Trayvon Diggs both pick off Justin Herbert. They have a decent game. The issue is just what happens to the Chargers, which I'll get to in a second. For the Chargers, Justin Herbert comes out and plays pretty good, 31 for 41, 338 yards. He does throw a touchdown, but he also throws 2 picks, as I just mentioned. Keenan Allen gets 108 yards on only 4 catches, but does not find the end zone. Mike Williams goes for 91 yards, picks up a touchdown as well. The Chargers have a decent rushing game. I mean, everyone gets in some good production, but there are no rushing touchdowns for them. And Asante Samuel Jr. is the one who gets that pick on Dak. But the big story here for the Chargers is that they have 2 of their touchdowns overturned. There's a 37-yard pass to Donald Parham that's overturned when Jared Cook gets called for holding. And then 3 plays later, Herbert throws one of those picks, and essentially that play dies. And then later on, he throws a touchdown to Jared Cook for a 2-yard score, but it was overturned after a motion penalty. The Chargers settled for a field goal. They tie it at 17. But then Greg Zuerlein, who was pretty bad against the Buccaneers, comes out and just nails a 56-yard field goal, and that gives the Cowboys the win, 20-17. There were a total of 20 penalties in this game, 12 of those going to the Chargers, 8 of those in the second quarter. Like I said, the Cowboys won this game, but they really shouldn't have. The Chargers just got hammered by the refs.
Yeah, so I never like to really say that a team in the NFL won simply because of the refs. It sounds kind of just like sour grapes to say, but Chargers easily could have won this game. I mean, heck, you just take one of those touchdowns, add them back, and they win. You add 2 back, they also win, of course, by a wider margin. You could say the Cowboys would have scored, but you never know. We did see 2 touchdowns. We could actually visibly see 2 touchdowns get taken off the board because of penalties. The second with Jared Cook, I'm not really sure what the heck was going on there. It looked like it's just the fact that he never got set or whatever or something. I'm not really sure there. That got overturned, and then he was called for holding on that first touchdown pass. And of course, Herbert threw a pick a little bit after that. And then they actually threw back-to-back picks, Herbert and Dak. It's kind of funny there. The second pick for Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen looked like I couldn't tell if he got tripped or if he just fell straight up. Either way, he went down, and Herbert still threw the ball because he went down as soon as Herbert released it. And that was a pick right on the goal line. So that could have been, a touchdown there as well. It had actually been caught. So that's 3 touchdowns there that they could have had that didn't end up happening. As for the Cowboys, like you mentioned, Dak played, he played all right. Didn't have any touchdowns. They didn't need him to throw any in this game. But the big thing was Tony Pollard. Over 100 yards rushing on 13 carries, had a big, almost 30-yard run. Zeke also was pretty good, 16 carries for 71 yards. I do not want to see Tony Pollard be the number 1 running back, though. Let's not get carried away. Part of it is the fact that you paid Zeke so much money. And two, when you kind of put it in this like small vacuum like this, like he plays this great game. He has 13 carries, 100 yards. Let's say you want to give him like 20 something carries or whatever if Zeke doesn't exist for a game, whatever, right? Do you still see that same production from him? It's easy to look good, when you're not really expecting him to be that good. Now, even dating back to last season, Tony Pollard's been playing pretty well. But let's just kind of relax on saying, he should be the number one over Zeke. Because I've seen people say that, and I just I don't really get it, and I don't agree with that. Um, like you mentioned, uh, 20 penalties total in this game. Kind of disgusting, to be honest with you. We've seen the amount of penalties thrown in the game go up consistently over the past, heck, I say 10 years or whatever, right? Every year it seems to be that they throw more penalties and a lot more in crucial moments. Of course, two penalties overturned, two touchdowns for the Chargers, but overall, 12 penalties for the Chargers and 8 in the second quarter. You can't win like that. Some of them were kind of nonsense. Some of them were definitely like you did that. Regardless, you cannot have that many penalties in a single game. So for me, this was a combination of the Chargers shooting themselves in the foot, the Cowboys' run game being good, Dak doing just enough so they get the win. Um, those three things for me is what really got them the win in this one.
Yeah, I think I'll add on to what you said about the Dallas running back situation. Tony Pollard, of course, had a great game. I think that there's no problem in having Tony and Zeke both have this kind of split offensive presence. I don't think it's bad at all. I mean, you can't be mad when one gets 109 yards and a touchdown and the other gets 71 yards and a touchdown. That's great production. But let's not act like Tony is just going to swoop in and become the RB1. Zeke is Zeke, and if he can get back to what he's supposed to be, that will be his job for sure. And you can't be sure that this is going to be Tony's constant production. Right? This is the first time we've really seen something like this, and you need to see more for that to happen. It's going to be hard for him to break into like the main guy role when you have Zeke on that team. So I think really the best thing for the Cowboys is to let them run like this. I mean, let them both kind of carry the offense in different ways and allow them to both flourish. And I think you'd have a good production. I mean, both of those guys and that receiving core that we talked about a few episodes ago. Dallas has a strong offense if they can just play it right. And I like the way you put it. I mean, Dak doing just enough. I definitely can't say Dak had a bad game here. He played well and he did enough to keep them in the game. He didn't do anything overtly terrible to make them lose. He threw a pick, but I mean, one pick in this kind of game could be the difference, but it wasn't. It doesn't cause anything to really crumble. They stay in it, and I'll give props to Greg Zerline as well for coming back after his pretty much costing them to lose against the Buccaneers and being the reason they win this game. He did say that he wished he did his job against the Bucs and they might have had a different outcome. So gotta give him props for coming out and doing his job here. And then that Keenan Allen play that you mentioned, the pick there. I'm not really sure what happened either, like if he tripped or just fell. But that you make a good point. That is a third touchdown they could have had. And with just one touchdown, if the Cowboys score was to say exactly how it is, the Chargers would win this game. Now, you get into the dilemma of, well, if the Chargers scored another touchdown, would the Cowboys have played the exact way? Would they try to do something different? So, I mean, you get into a lot of hypotheticals, and it sucks to kind of say that, like, the refs gave a game to someone, but you get 8 flags in one quarter and a total of 12 overall. It's insane. And it's hard to not see that the refs kind of hand in this one. So, I mean, I wouldn't call it a bad game. It was definitely entertaining. It's just, man, this game really could have had the potential to be a lot better if it wasn't so hindered back by the officiating.
Yeah, I agree there. I'm not somebody that's really big into like moral victories. Like I can say, they played well in this loss, but at the end of the day, you lost. But to me, I got more from that first game with the Cowboys against the Bucks than I really got from this one because we really don't know how this running thing is going to turn out again. Maybe they do go forward with Zeke and Tony Pollard having about the same amount of carries. Zeke being more of your bruiser kind of guy, and he can help in the blocking, pass protection as well. And then Tony Pollard can kind of be your more explosive guy. If that's how they want to do it, then that's fine. But we just don't know how that'll work going forward. We know Dak can be efficient. We know Dak can throw it all over the field, especially with the receiving core that he does have. Amari Cooper didn't get a whole lot in this game, but CeeDee Lamb was playing well. And when you have at least two guys that are like, all right, these are number one guys for sure. And then when you have Michael Gallup as well, who is a good, he can be a number two, number three, depending on how you want to put it. You have a good receiving core. Your offensive line is, good sometimes. It just kind of depends. Lyle Collins, that's kind of a weird situation with that. We'll see how that have to turn out with his suspension. And obviously, Zach Martin is playing now after not being in week one. But the Cowboys, I think, I won't say that they're going to win like 12 games. I said in our preview that, they probably would maybe go like 9-8 or 8-9 or something. But it kind of just depends. They may win like 10 games and win the division, but I don't really see them being a superpower in the NFC just based off of what I've seen in the past 2 weeks. For the Chargers, they do play the Chiefs this week, so that's probably going to be an L. But I think the main thing for them is just cleaning up those penalties. And then one thing with Keenan Allen as well, he got a taunting penalty, and it's something we hadn't discussed yet. I think the taunting penalties are kind of dumb, as is the majority opinion, as far as NFL fans go with that. But I can sort of understand why they called it, because Keenan Allen was like, he was following dude at that point. I'm like, all right, it's like it's a dumb thing to do to throw that penalty, but if you know that it's going to happen, I like just leave it alone. Don't follow the guy and be talking. Get up, say something real quick in his face if you want, but don't push it, because now the refs are on edge because of this new rule, and that's just kind of how it is every time they do something. Whenever they bring in some kind of new rule, the refs feel like they have to overcompensate, I guess, for something that wasn't really that much of a problem. I guess it became a big deal because we saw in the Super Bowl with Antoine Winfield, putting his fingers right in Tyreek's face. But like, it's not like it was that big of a deal. It's not like something we see every single game where guys are like standing over dudes for 5 seconds or something like that. You get up, you can talk trash real quick and then move on. I don't think that's really that big a deal. So hopefully NFL deals with that, because the overall penalty situation is bad, but that's something that is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the new taunting rule, and I think you're right though. I mean, Keenan, I'm sure he knows that there's new taunting policies, and so with that information in mind, like you don't get up and do what he did there. It just, especially with how that game had been going, it's not the right move to make. And so yeah, I mean the Chargers have got to clean those kind of things up. I think the Cowboys, I do actually think that they could go for maybe 10 wins. I mean, they play the rest of the NFC East twice, which really should be easy for them. Washington is probably going to present the biggest challenge. And I mean, the other two teams maybe might flare up and give a scare game, but I don't see that being too terrifying. So I could maybe see 9-10 wins. And the Chargers, um, they're kind of in the opposite situation. They will be facing the Chiefs and Raiders twice, and I don't think that's going to bode super great for them. There maybe you could say the Chargers are equal with the Raiders. Obviously, they're not equal with the Chiefs, and I would probably at this current moment put them a little bit below the Raiders. And so yeah, they're gonna have a tough schedule. I think they could make the playoffs if everything kind of flows exactly how they need it to flow. But they're gonna have to clean things up, and they can't do things like this. And especially when it comes to those interdivisional matchups, they're gonna have to be on their toes.